the sun, the fields are alive. Cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. Flourish pride, it runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the heart of the year. Raising voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zone to go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. In Florida's field, real dive band.
All right, it is time for the Panhandle edition of the Blitz, and we are on. Good evening to y'all here as we come to you for our final show to start off the 2025 season. I'm Josh Wilson, and that's Christopher Like. How you doing, my man?
Doing great, doing great.
No, absolutely. As we come here live here on FloridaHSFootball.com and everything, and on our social media handles and stuff, you can follow us live on all of the social media handles. You can join us at Florida HS Football on X as well. Actually, I should say on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn at Florida HS Football, X at FLA HS Football. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Florida HS Football, and we definitely appreciate all the support and everything here. If you send us a super thanks or our super sticker, we definitely appreciate that as well. And again, we're here to bring the first edition of our Panhandle edition of the Blitz. And I had people request over the last year, hey, can we kind of split North Florida up a little bit and get the Panhandle a little bit more love? And this is what we're doing. We're bringing more Panhandle love here this year by having this show coming up here tonight. We'll talk about some of the topics. So I'll go through the Blitz lines here in a moment with some of the kickoff classes, but we have our guest, head coach of the Franklin County Seahawks, John Cooper. The Franklin County is going into the SSA Atlantic League this year, and we'll definitely be talking to Coach about that. And, of course, talk about Franklin County football. He said he wanted to talk, and you know what? I'm all for it. I want to have Coach on here. We're going to talk, give some love out there to those boys out there in East Point, Apalachicola, Carabel, all of Franklin County. So we'll talk some Franklin County football coming up here in a moment here. But, Chris, as we roll along here, how about this? Let's go. Wait a second. Wrong button there. What's going on with my buttons here tonight? Did something change on me? There we go. There we go. I'm about to say, did my buttons change on me? I'm hitting the wrong button on the grid here. So that's on my thing on the pad here on the mixer here. But let's go ahead and get into the Blitz lines, and let's talk about some of these top kickoff classics that are going to go on in the region here this week here. And one I'm interested in seeing is that Madison County defending rural state champs going to Wakulla. I'm kind of curious, interested because the Florida Power Rankings Index ain't 11 Wakulla too much in this for what it's projecting right now with them for the War Eagles, but Madison County. Ooh, in that rural league, they're definitely a favorite again to run the tables here this season, and this will be a good battle because these two teams have had a rivalry over the years. They've played each other. I mean, at one point, Wakulla was actually a much smaller school and everything, and but they've grown up and over the years in terms of the numbers. And what are your takes on this? Especially since I got to saw Madison County in the Rural State Championship last year against Hawthorne, and it was really, really interesting.
Yeah, Madison County coming off the championship game. I think it's going to be fun to see what they do to reload for this year and see what they can do against Wakulla.
No, I agree. I think it's going to be interesting, especially, the fact that, Price Harris finally, in over 20 years of coaching, finally wins his first state title at his alma mater, and there's Scott Cleese there at Wakulla. And Wakulla, I gotta say, just what he's been doing over the. I mean, it seems like Scott Cleese has been there as long as I know, and before that, it just really, it's just what he has done there is he's among the dean of coaches, not just in the Panhandle, the Big Bend region, but in the state of Florida in terms of coaches that have been able to just stay consistently at their school, and that it just is really, really impressive here. But another big game in the kickoff classics is Florida High and Gabi. Both Florida High potentially. This is interesting, depending on how everything goes. With in terms of the situation at Gadsden County, is Gadsden County still going to be eligible for the playoffs? I know there's still some appeals going on, especially for Coach Russell Ellington. The 8 players said they can be eligible elsewhere and play, but not at Gadsden County this year. But Florida High. Potentially could be coasting towards a potential district championship this year, the way things look. But Godby, who won their district last year, and that's the same district that Wakulla's in, Godby, they're fired up, and this is a good challenge for both teams coming out here to start the season.
Boy, there's a lot of headlines coming out of this particular kickoff classic. Not just from last year, but this year as well. The ramifications of Gadsden County and Florida High being the team that they were last year. That's going to be a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, because Gadsden County and Florida High went at it for that district championship, and Gadsden County got it. And then they had 13 Taylor County, but that Taylor County, by the way, is now in rural because they had that significant drop in student enrollment, especially after getting hit, the 3 hurricanes over the last 2 years. That'll do it to you, especially in terms of people saying, you know what, we're not coming back. We're gone.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, that game, Florida High versus Gabi at Gene Cox in Tallahassee, coming up here this week in the kickoff classic. Another kickoff classic, Miami, Carroll City, and Lincoln are going to go at it here. It's good to see a little bit of South Florida going up against the Big Bend Panhandle as well here, and I'm really excited to see this one, how this plays out, because I know Larry Bluestein mentioned last night that Carroll City is a team to watch.
Yeah, Carroll City is a dangerous team. A lot of people up north, they're going to find out a lot about Carroll City. Lincoln, they're not a bad team either, so it's going to be fun to see a measuring stick between Lincoln and Carroll City.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Lincoln, new head coach this year, Matt Jackson, takes over from Jimmy Tyson. But I will say this, Lincoln, there's basically there's no rebuild. It's just reload and go there. And I'll be interested to see how the Trojans go about things this year in the hunt for another district championship. All right, as we roll along here, another one going out west on I-10 to Pine Forest and Tate. Why I pulled this one as one of the top categories is because Pine Forest, new coaching, but Pine Forest has been a playoff team over the last few years. You can't ignore what Pine Forest has done. Tate has built up under this one of the summer. I know I'm gonna get it. I know it's the Summerford coaches because, and I know it's. I'm gonna just pull it up here because you know what? Because there's 2 Summerford brothers over there in the Panhandle, and I'm gonna pull it up on make sure that I'm getting the right one because the. Trying to pull up hold on, see. Let me see here. Give me 1 second here because okay. think it's Red Summerford is the name I want to say, because there's two Coach Summerfords. You got the one at Tate and one at West Florida. The one at West Florida used to be at Northview. So, but anyways, besides that, I just really like to see what the Eagles and the Aggies do. I think they're going to be two of the teams that are going to be right there in Pensacola that are just going to be like in that Escambia County area that are really going to be, teams to watch, see what they do. Can they make the playoffs? Can they do what they need to do? Of course, obviously, you got your usual suspects, Escambia, and you go over to Santa Rosa County, got Pace sitting over there, and with Pace the season they had, and then of course you start getting along I-10. You got teams like Niceville; they're going to be playing Bay in the Kickoff Classic. By the way, you can see all the Kickoff Classics that are scheduled for this week on the ticker, and including the couple of the one SSA game that actually will count. Yes, there's a couple of other SSA teams that are playing that are in that region, but I can say that Acela Christian. I will clarify: Acela Christian's game against Weehawken does not count because Weehawken is an FHA team. And I did that. I have clarified many times over with Gage Brown at the SSA about these games, especially when it's an SSA team versus an FHA opponent in the week 0. And of course, starting with week 0, Franklin County doesn't have a game this week. I wish they had a game this week, but they get in order for them to get a full 10 games, they took this week off as their bye week, so they'll play their full 10-game slate going weeks 1 through 10 starting next week. But we'll talk to head coach John Cooper about that in a moment here. But Lighthouse Private Christian Academy at Rocky Bayou to start off the SSA season this week, Chris, and I'm interested to see because that the SSA where it's a little bit more slower for them in terms of the growth of all the regions in the state where they have been able to step foot into, but they're starting to pick up some pace there in the Panhandle, and just based on hearing what some conversations I've had with various people that they may get a few more teams here come the next classification cycle that's coming up. Yeah.
I expect maybe about 4 or 5 more teams coming in next year or two, if for Sunshine. So it'll be interesting to see how much they can pull from Panhandle.
No, absolutely. And with that said, we're going to roll along here and take our 2-minute timeout, and then we're going to come back and we're going to have the interview of head coach John Cooper of the Franklin County Seahawks. We'll be right back here after this break here on the Panhandle edition of the Blitz here on FloridaHSFootball.com. We'll be right back right after this.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
Touchdown! Juggled and caught!
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, it's a great chance that I can do it. First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
And all right, welcome back here to the Blitz here as we go into our interview. And we'll go ahead and bring that head coach on. Head coach John Cooper of the Franklin County Seahawks joining us here. And I appreciate you being able to take some time out of your schedule, Coach. I know with everything going on, you wanted to. You've been at me for a few weeks to talk some Franklin County football, and I've been like, hey, let's do it. Let's do this. And I told you we'd be getting our shows going in here, and here we are. Finally here with you. But Coach, again, thank you so much. And with everything in Franklin County, first, just kind of give us some insights about Franklin County. Some people don't realize that, we got the peninsula part of the state, but there's the panhandle side of the state. And there's a lot of good football out there. And there's out there, along out there on Highway 98, got tell people about Franklin County and just, what makes it unique out there for y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on. One thing I've learned about a recruiting coordinator at the high school level, if you don't talk about yourself, no one's going to talk about you. So you got to kind of market yourself. But, we're Franklin County. We're out in the middle of nowhere. We're a little slice of paradise. We're an hour and 30 minutes from Tallahassee South, hour and 30 minutes east of Panama City. It's hard for college coaches to get to us. So if we got a guy they want to come see, they're making an effort to come see it. I think we're one of the most unique stories in high school football as far as small-time high school football. A lot of your message board, Josh, are absolute ball knowers, man. They know that Franklin County comes from two different rivals, Carabel High School and Apalachicola High School, that had maybe 30 kids in the senior class. Here we are with, combined high school where now we have about 60 in a senior class. We roll about 259 through 12. We're able to have, JV and varsity football. I don't have a helmet on my wall entering, the first week of school. We're having a great turnout, man. If you've seen, just the fans in the stands this past year, we just had our best season ever, in my opinion, and the second winning record in school history. We got a lot to look forward to and a lot to build to.
No, absolutely, and all that, and as you say, a lot to look forward to and a lot to build to. That some of that goes with saying that y'all are joining the Sunshine State Athletic Association this year. You're a big part of the Atlantic League, which is 20 teams. What was the biggest thing for y'all in terms of shifting away from the rural classification, which Franklin County had been part of since day one when they created that classification over a decade ago? What was the drive behind that? Because obviously y'all are not the first team in that rural classification to obviously go make that shift over to the Atlantic League. Obviously got Bell, got Bronson, so there's a few programs that have done that. What was that like? Was it just seeing what those programs did as kind of lured y'all to this, or was there some other thinking behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a combination to it. Last year, us and Bell, Coach Wington over there does a great job, had an absolute slobber knocker. Somehow, he was choking the life out of us, and we somehow beat him 12-7, running only 16 offensive plays the whole game.
Wow.
I've never seen anything like it. Just seeing Bell's great season. I think they went 8-2, 9-1. They made a good run in their league over there in the SSAA. And you guys know, I have friends in the FHSAA. They do a great job, especially the local guys around us. We got a couple local legends around us that help out with FHSAAs on boards and stuff. But, high school football sometimes isn't a one-size-fits-all for everybody. And I think there's neighboring schools around us that, knock on wood, might see what we do this year and might be encouraged to maybe make the jump for us. I'm just going to be honest. This is 19 years of Franklin County football. We've had 0 playoff wins. Now things are changing, and if you're around us, you're going to see it. But we wanted a more competitive atmosphere. I'm just going to be honest. There's some teams at the top epsilon of that rural division that I would rather go play the team with 1,000 kids in the school in the SSAA that I think we have a more competitive edge with and, have a better chance. For instance, you guys were talking about Madison and Wakulla High School. I'm a Wakulla High School product. I played under Scott Cleese, coached under Scott Cleese, does a great job. I'm going to go watch the game tomorrow myself. I'm a high school football fan as well as a coach, obviously. It's just a difference. When I see Madison County, obviously, and Wakulla have a great game, I just feel like we're in the wrong competitive division. which is, Coach Harris does a great job. Madison's amazing. We got to do what's best for Franklin County, in my opinion. I think the best for us to have a competitive edge is maybe the SSAA, and I think you're going to be surprised who might join us next year.
No, absolutely. Chris, you got a question? Roll with it.
Yeah, talk about some of the logistics of scheduling, especially trying to keep your players in the spotlight, like in Tallahassee and Panama City, and being where you are. Talk about what kind of scheduling challenges you have as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. So, scheduling for us, let's put it here forth. We're so isolated media-wise, where half of our county goes to the Panama City market, then half of our county goes to the Tallahassee market. There's then at times the Tallahassee market just completely ignores us, doesn't think we're in the Big Bend, even though we're kind of the start of the Big Bend. But scheduling's been absolutely easy. After you've had so many 0-10s, 1-9 seasons, it's like you're the most popular kid at the party. Everybody's calling your phone at January wanting to play. We had our first ever team drop us probably in school history this year. Nobody drops Franklin County.
What? What's this news here? Let me. That's news. Breaking news.
No, this is and it's no fault to that coach. He's doing what's best for his program. But things are changing. But for us, we're going to get calls left and right because we're always going to be a school with 250 kids. So teams are going to be willing to come this way. For instance, I'll never travel for a spring game ever. We hosted Rutherford this past year, and we hosted Hamilton County the year before that. Every team's going to want to come play at Franklin because they just see it as, as it says, they think it's easy pickings, but they're surprised when they get here. I feel like that. I feel they are very surprised when they get here. And I think maybe the narrative's changing where scheduling may not be as easy as it was this past year. But distance doesn't matter when a coach thinks he can get a win, and we're trying to change that narrative.
No, absolutely. And I get that. And with all that said, I mean, the changing that narrative, and that was a good question, Chris, on that. I mean, talk about some of your guys that you've got coming up this year. I mean, hey, let's give them some love because at the end of the day, honestly, you say, and you're right. Hey, it's hard for the college coaches to find y'all out there because, hey, it's a trek off the beaten path. So let's give it to some love, some of these guys. I mean,
absolutely. So you for a school like us, you got to be on that Twitter app, X app, and promoting your guys. One thing about Apalachicola is that it's had talent come through. Last year, I believe we had 3 players originally from Franklin County playing FBS college football. You had Jeremiah Brown, the linebacker at Colorado. He was from Carabel. That's his hometown. You had Joshua Farmer from Apalachicola, went to Franklin County till 7th grade, I believe, and he had to do what was best for him. Obviously, the program wasn't ready enough to facilitate a man's dream at that time, a young man's dream. And then you had, Trey Sanders. His dad was from Apalachicola. He played at Port St. Joe for a little bit, then IMG. So we've had talent. But what I'm going to say is I got a few on my mind right now. Sadiq Jones, which I promote pretty often. He has a 3.6 GPA. We can line him up receiver, wing back, defensive back. He is turning into a man amongst boys. And, if you look at him, he's a Division I guy. He's had, he has like 102 followers, many different interests from different people following him. I think somebody's going to pull the trigger. You'd be surprised who follows him. I got a upcoming 10th grader named Dre North, who is, relatives with that Joshua Farmer, who has been offered by Sacramento State, and getting interest everywhere else. Then I have my quarterback, Owen Juno, who is a D3 NAI type kid. And, we want to be a program that tries to facilitate dreams in all different levels. If there's a good fit, we want to have it. This kid has a high SAT score. He facilitates the ball for us. And then Jamichael Miller is another one who is, was an all-state kid, honorable mention. He's looking to be all-state first team this year. And he has the potential to be one of these guys on signing day.
Oh wow, that's just impressive here. And when at the end of the day, what would you tell others that in the media? Hey, you gotta give us some love, because at the end of the day, y'all deserve all the exposure. I think for every school in this state, getting the exposure, because there's a lot of kids that go unnoticed, unseen, and they deserve the love.
Yeah, absolutely. So, everybody used to have the saying of, if they're good enough, they'll find you, which I was a big believer of that, but nowadays it's with the transfer portal going on, the jobs are easier for these staffs at times with social media. And if you're not on there facilitating your guys, you're really hurting your guys. I'll say the Bluntstown coach does a great job. Me and him talked about it of, showing his guys, Coach Wagner over there. If you're not promoting your guys, you're really not doing them justice.
No, you're not. And Chris, go ahead.
I have a question for you as a coach. What are the college coaches giving you as far as advice in recruiting your players and building your program when you talk to them?
Well, I'll tell you this. I learned a big thing a couple years ago, my last year at Wakulla High School, when I was the recruiting coordinator and offensive line coach. One of the coaches just, obviously everybody's trying to do their due diligence, but the biggest advice was, if you want to always have the response, don't waste time. Make sure your guy can fit at that level that you're trying to promote them to. There's nothing I can do to make a Division II kid an FBS kid. So it's really being realistic, not only to these coaches, but your kids as well.
I like that, being realistic about because not everybody's going to play Division I, and not everybody's going to play NAIA. There's going to be a place for somebody, for the kids somewhere. It's just being realistic, and I like that realistic that where you're saying. And Coach, I gotta bring this up because this is in our image. It caught fire with the Florida Coaches Coalition, and we're going to talk about that. Coaches pay. I'm going to bring it up, and it's this: pay us what you owe us. There you go. I mean, I'll just bring that up there on the screen for a moment. Man, Coach, we had Dr. Andrew Ramjan on earlier tonight on our Central Florida edition of the Blitz. I mean, with coaches pay in this state, it really is a shame, especially since we've had so many great coaches leave this state when, we're a producer of talent. So, I mean, just kind of give us a thought. Where did you come up with this concept on the shirt, or was this more of like, hey, it's a trend? Hey, I'm going to express myself this way, and because it just caught fire real quick, like.
Well, I'll say this. Obviously, I kind of wanted to catch up on the trend and just have a laugh, but it's frustrating. I work for a great school district, and I hate to sound like I'm doing damage control here, but I'm not. But my superintendent's amazing. They've never told me no since I've gotten to Franklin County, but it is abysmal across the state. I would love to know if somebody ever kept a statistic, how many times the head coach is the last one at the school, and like at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., there's times I got a couch in my office that I sleep in my office. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different type of job. And you're doing so much more than football. I mean, you're responsible for making sure your program has the fundraising that it needs. We talk about it all the time in my booster club meeting. A small school like us needs a minimum of 50,000, and if you want to be a first class program, you're looking at 75 to 100,000. And and I feel a lot of coaches feel the same way around us. So it's not only that, then you're trying to monitor your kids. We do grade checks every Wednesday where there's, a punishment if not. So it's so much more than football. If there's a crisis going on in that kid's house, I can tell you what, I'm probably one of the first ones that are going to be called. And that's just not me beating my chest. That's everywhere in the state. So it's like you're wearing so many different hats. And the one thing I hate about all this is, the comparison of, well, the teachers have to get theirs first. When, majority of us are all teachers doing a great job in the building. But athletics, it's time for athletics to kind of get the respect that's needed and, show, what's deserved.
No, I absolutely agree, and especially when I say it, and I've said this for many years. Hey, athletics is it's high school sports and athletics alone is the greatest dropout prevention tool that a school has for these kids. Because if it weren't for athletics, we a lot of these kids we don't know what happened, and that's the biggest thing. And I think of course I've shouted in the void for years that coaches need to be paid more. So it's
that's right. And nobody's asking for a ridiculous amount, but coaches just want to be able to feed their kids, keep the light on, and maybe go on vacation to July 4th dead week. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know we're not trying to be unrealistic here.
I mean, this is why you look at it. I mean, we look at state. Look at it. Hey, you look at it. Okay, Bo Johnson, when he was at Bluntstown, left for Georgia. I went back to Georgia. I mean, Mike Coe went to Georgia. So I can start rattling off names of coaches. At the end of the day, it's like, hey, we've done what we can here, and if they're going to pay me up there, and I can relax a little bit, they're going to take it.
And I'll say this, our county is doing everything they can. I think all of our teachers got an $8,000 raise. I think we're one of the higher paid in our little area. And I know our coaching supplements are coming next. Our teacher union has done a great job for us, our local teachers union, and they get it. And our administration gets it. So I hopefully it looks up for everybody else. But I know Franklin County is going to join like the Waltons and the Okaloosas here soon. And, it's going to be a destination place for, a lot of professionals that want to be here.
No, absolutely, and all that. And just one more thing as we wrap it up here, the community support. I mean, being the only high school in town, basically, technically, if I'm correct, Franklin County, it's all everybody's in one school building. It's a K-12. It's really one of the unique, where not many schools like that are full K-12 in the public school setting here in the state of Florida.
That's right. So, it was very unique first, just being an outsider coming in. I coached here under a legendary guy in my mind, and Tony Yeomans, former Florida State player.
Tony Yeomans. I haven't heard that name in a minute.
Yeah, so I was his right-hand man at Franklin in 2017, and this is what made me want to come back, just seeing the gratefulness of, our community that we finally had a football program rolling. But certain things happened, and the door opened back in 2023 to come back. And, I listened to a voicemail, some of my football players from 2018, the year after I left a voicemail asking if I'd come back, So this is, wow. This is always somewhere where I wanted to be. And I absolutely love being a Seahawk. But just, and I hate to go a little long here, but just hitting back on the, Franklin County, and your message board guys know it, man, because I know how to use that search button just to look us up, man. There's one guy on there named Noble.
Noble, he's been a long time on there.
Yeah. So he recognizes the situation that Franklin County's probably been the worst public high school program, in the past 20, 30 years. And, that didn't change with Carabel High School and Apalachicola High School. They've had good years here and there. But, when you had two rivals coming together that hated each other, we're finally now getting the return of investment of, we had Apalachicola athletes, Carabel linemen joining together, small school. We might be pretty good at football, but you're getting the return of investment. Josh, there's high school seniors that are older than the program I'm head coach at. You know what? So it's, we're not new, but we're still kind of a young program finding its way. And I think you're about to see a difference between a high school that used to field a team that now fields a program that's year in, year out going to be competitive.
Absolutely. Chris, you got anything else to add here? This is exciting.
Yeah, it's been a fun interview here. Now talk about the your schedule and what do you look forward to at the most?
Well, I'm going to pray every night that we stay healthy. We jumped out to a miraculous 5-0 start last year, and the next thing I know, we were limping all around, and it was hard to get through. We finished, I think 1-4 to end the season. I remember we played Fort Meade in our first round Florida Invitational. Somehow we were up on that team 14-12. And if you looked at our side and looked at their side, up 14-12 in the fourth quarter before the wheels came off, you would have thought that was an absolute miracle. What a talented team they were. But, we opened up the season with Milton Central, which is a second year varsity program. But watching them on film, they're huge. They do everything right. Their coach is Joe Surratt, former FSU player, hard-nosed guy. So looking forward to competing against those guys. Week 2 is Bell, who I know the ranking index system has them up very high. And Bell was scary last year. I'm going to be honest. They were huge. They had, I can't remember the kid's name, number 55, but he smothered our guys. It's terrifying. Then you got FAMU DRS. Our kids are excited to play at Bragg Stadium. Week 4 is a Highway 65 rivalry between us and Liberty County, just north of us. Those guys do a great job every year. Carlos Williams is their defensive coordinator, ex-FSU player. Gerald Tranquil, who's been a longtime head coach, has done awesome. After that, week 5, we got Rocky Bayou, who is, fundamentally does everything right. Their head coach, Casey Woods, from Marion University, NAIA Power. I hope to get film on them this week. That's the beauty of we're going to go watch Bell as a staff this week against Oak Hall Friday. But then week 6 is Graceville. They took the year off, but everybody knows Graceville used to have some heck of teams.
It's good. By the way, speaking of Graceville, it's good to see them back on the varsity ranks.
Yeah, we don't play week 0, but we had a referee scrimmage against Holmes County last week. It was good seeing those guys scouting out. Week 7's Cottondale, which, we have something I can't say it now, but we're going to have something very interesting next year against us and some other teams for next year that you guys are going to find. I'll tell you off the air. And then, week 8 is another rivalry between us and Weehawken. And, week 9 is Osceola Christian. And then one of the games I'm really excited for is week 10 against North Florida Christian. Growing up, I remember all those state championship teams North Florida Christian has. I'm excited Kes McCorvey took them over. And, I know they have some talent surrounding them right now. They're going to be a lot better than last year.
No, absolutely. And Coach, I'm gonna you just stay on the back end of this after everything and stay on while we finish up the show here, and because we're kind of a little overtime, but that was great. I will take any good, solid interview like that any day of the week here on this. But I'm going to go ahead and say appreciate you, Coach, for joining us here on the Panhandle Edition of the Blitz, and hope to have you back on here later on, and as we go through the season, and then be able to talk more Franklin County football and see how the Seahawks does. And again, appreciate your time here this week as the season gets rolling.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys so much for having me tonight.
No, absolutely. Thank you. And that was head coach John Cooper of the Franklin County Seahawks here on the Panhandle Edition of the Blitz. And Chris, since we're kind of short on time, but we only have one pick 6 game here to pick on, because really there's not much here in terms of SSA getting going this week. But we'll have 6 games every week going forward, starting next week here. And I might as well just go ahead and play that music here. And we're just going to go right through it here in terms of that, and roll into our pick 6, the only game we've got here for this one here as we roll along here. And Chris, it's Lighthouse Private Christian Academy, Lighthouse PCA, better known as that, at Rocky Bayou. And this one's interesting because the forecast says this game could be very, very close, I think, is when I go pull up the line here in a moment. What you thinking?
Well, rockabye baby. Rockabye baby.
Oh, you're going Rocky Bayou. Oh, okay. Well, I think this is going to be interesting. As you see here, the win probability, by the way, FloridaHSFootball.com/season ticket, you can see all the win probabilities every week from the Florida Power Rankings Index, and the forecasted line, that's free every week on here on FloridaHSFootball.com. Lighthouse PCA 2 over Rocky Bayou Christian. So this could be a really close game. 59% win probability for Lighthouse PCA. Rocky Bayou 41%. So this game could go either way. Now I see why Chris is saying, hey, he's going Rocky Bayou. And, where's my pick going? Lighthouse PCA, and Reno is going Lighthouse PCA as well. So it's either going to be Chris is going to be right, or me and Reno are going to be right. We'll find out come next week. And either someone's going to be 1-0 or someone's going to be 0-1 to start off the Panhandle picks here into pick 6. And that is our only game here for this one here this week in terms of the pick 6 here as we wrap up the show here. And we appreciate John Cooper the head coach at Franklin County, joining us here on the show tonight. And man, that was great. It's great to hear from programs, especially these small programs that have really, haven't been on the radar, haven't been really on the map. But hey, he's right. You got to advocate for yourselves, and this is a great way. Hey, when you want to talk, I was glad. I wanted to, bring them on. This is the part of that we be able to do that is to bring not just the big programs in, but the smaller programs, the programs that may not be flying under the radar. This is that opportunity to be able to talk to these coaches, and eventually we'll start bringing on some players and talking to them as well here on our show.
Yeah, great interview, and it's platforms like this that help these programs get exposure. And a lot of people don't realize that college coaches, they watch shows like this sometimes. They want to hear from the media. They want to hear from the people who see the action.
No, absolutely, and this is why, and you say that, and this is why it's so critical. And I explained it, and I bring this up, is why we advocate and in this spot here. Is okay. Why do we have a paywall on the website? It's because, hey, in order to do this, it takes resources, and that's why we're so thankful for those who have subscribed to the FloridaHSFootball.com season ticket, be it the preview season ticket for the whole year, or even on the monthly side. So we appreciate everybody doing that. Also, the YouTube channel, that is our biggest, where we're really focusing. The two initiatives we're really focusing on is the growth on the premium season ticket side, but also our YouTube channel at Florida HS Football. Hit that subscribe button at Florida HS Football on YouTube. Hit that like button. Hit that notification bell so when we post new content on YouTube, because we're really working on it, trying to be video focused on a lot of our content, but also have the written content. So we really want to be hey, those are our two growth areas. We really want the support on both sides of that. And obviously you can follow us on all of our social media platforms as well. We've got, but I guess obviously, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn at Florida HS Football, and yes, X at Florida FLHS Football. And of course, we got a few more comments popping in here as we get ready to wrap up here, Chris. Carson D. Griffin says, and it popped up here on the X is finally starting to show up here on the comments. I don't know why, but why it took a bit. But let's talk Mosley Dolphin football. What are your thoughts on them winning the county and district and then moving on to the playoffs? It really is going to boil down to, you want to see the full projection, sign up for the season ticket. You'll be able to see a full district projection. Obviously, Niceville, Mosley in the same district. It's going to be very competitive, I think. I think Mosley will make the playoffs, but we're going to have playoff projections coming too with this. So we're going to show what the playoff breakdowns. We're going to have that stuff coming out. Obviously, Thursday, Friday, over the weekend as we roll into next week. Obviously, we're going to have the SSA rankings come out first, obviously, because they're going to get going here in terms of their 11-man, 8-man, and SSA Atlantic League divisions this week. But also, I just, Mosley, I think they're going to be really good. Obviously, you got some players to replace, but I feel like they're still going to be good. Tommy Joe Wynn does a heck of a job there at Mosley, and I'll say this to point out, and Tommy Joe Wynn, a Niceville grad, Niceville alum, I should say, and he was like, he wasn't leaving Mosley. He stayed put. He could have had the opportunity to leave Mosley and go to Niceville, and he turned it down. Stephen Thatch, good to see you on. Appreciate your support. Definitely has been a big supporter of us here, and looking forward to the season. Panhandle could be crazy this year with all the coaching changes and player transfers. Of course, Niceville. Speaking of Niceville, Richard Morgan, a state championship winning coach from Georgia, and I believe Virginia as well. I want to say Marietta in Georgia, Oscar Smith up in Virginia, won a couple state titles between those two states. Looking to come do that here in Florida and win a third. Win a state championship in a third different state, but we'll have to see. Niceville is in that gauntlet of a 5A region where it's you got to go through everything goes through St. Thomas Aquinas. You there, Chris?
Yeah.
You're thinking Niceville and going for the St. Thomas Aquinas. I mean, it's going to be a challenge for the
It's
a challenge for Panhandle teams alone just to get towards the state championship game. It's not impossible. It's just it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, Niceville, they're a program that should be in the state title picture every year. But the challenge is just getting past those big city teams, knocking right on the door.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, Emery Smith said he's enjoyed all 4 shows last night and enjoyed all 4 shows tonight. Glad football is back. We're glad football is back. Get ready here. Kickoff Classics this week, week 1. Coming up next week, we will have news notes coming up on all 8 shows next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. And of course, as you see on that, we've posted our schedule. Both nights start at 7 o'clock. Once we get to week 5, once the FHA starts releasing the playoff bracket rankings, which is about usually starting at week 5, we'll do the Drive the State Blitz edition of the Drive the State, and we'll do that starting around like 5:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday, so that way we can get that out, get it through there, because really the information should be easy to follow. Because this year, what's interesting, I can point this out, is a big thing. The rankings from the FHA and what's on MaxPreps.com actually should mirror very closely to each other now, because they're no longer using CalPreps anymore. It's going to be straight up through MaxPreps.com. That's their own system now going forward this year.
Yeah. MaxPreps and CalPreps had a little divorce, so.
Yep, and now MaxPreps is owned by PlayOn, so no longer by CBS anymore. That's another big change this year. But we'll be interested to see how the playoff rankings, and of course, I'll talk to our people at the Sunshine State Athletic Association, see how they're going to release their rankings, especially with the teams coming out, because I know they have a little different method. But we'll find out here as we roll along.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see how the MaxPreps ranking compare to your computer rankings. So.
Oh, no, absolutely. I'm interested to see the comparison as that things roll along. All right, for Christopher Like, I'm Joshua Wilson. Appreciate y'all joining us here for the first editions of the Blitz shows across the 8 regions here on FloorDHSFootball.com. We will be back next week. We'll see you out on the football fields this week, and, of course, we'll be back next week. Have a great night, and best of luck to all the teams as the 2025 season starts to get going here in Florida. Good night, everybody.